Good morning. Today we're going to work on this distributive property review for our upcoming CFA. In an algebraic expression, when we use the distributive property, the number outside the parenthesis multiplies every term inside the parenthesis. We will use the operation signs inside the parenthesis, which are addition or subtraction, as integer signs, as positive and negative numbers, to help us. So let's clarify a few things before we begin. The opening sentence mentions the word algebraic. So when we look at this algebraic expression, it's talking about, whenever we use the word algebraic, we're talking about an expression that has a variable. So let's take a moment and compare this numeric expression, which means all numbers, to this algebraic expression. And the distributive property plays a very important role in helping us simplify this. However, if we have all numbers, there's a much easier, simple way to simplify an expression. So if I had this particular expression, a better way or an easier way to work on this would be to go ahead and add the two numbers inside. So I would have 3 on the outside still, and 5 plus 2 would be 7. And if you recall, side by side means multiply. So the answer to this would be 21. However, if I look at my algebraic expression, I can't add these. I have an x, something unknown, I don't know what the value is, plus 3. So I'm unable to combine these two terms. So let's look at what the distributive property briefly would look like if we used it on our numeric expression. If we use the property, we would take 3 times 5 and then 3 times positive 2. 3 times 5 would be 15, and 3 times 2 would be 6, and then we want to combine these as one number. And if I did combine them, again, I get 21. So either way I worked this, either by working inside the parentheses and multiplying by 3, or multiplying 3 by the parts or the terms inside the parentheses, I still get 21. So unfortunately, when we're working with an algebraic expression, we don't have those choices. We just have one choice because we have an unknown. We don't know what this is. So our only option is to use the distributive property. So we're going to use this same pattern where we multiply the number outside with one of the terms inside, and then the number outside again with the second term on the inside, creating two different numbers. And we're going to apply that to the algebraic expression. So let's get going. So using that same strategy, 4 times x, and if it's helpful for you to write a number in front of the x, that's fine. We can use 1. And then 4 times positive 3. So 4 times 3. 4 times 1x, or 4 times x, is 4x. And 4 times 3 would be 12. And now, if you look back at the numeric one, we were able to add these together to create 21. But we can't add these together because they're different terms. But we do want to write them as one single expression. And since this 12 is a positive 12, I'm going to put a plus sign in between them. So this is our final answer. This is as good as it's going to get. So based on what we just did for an example problem, would you please complete number 1 and state the answer? All right, we should have an 8n as the first term and 16 as the second term. Noticing we're using our plus 2 as a positive 2. And now we want to put these two terms together as one expression. So since 16 is positive, we're going to write plus in between. So this is 8n plus 16. So now let's go on to to problem number 2. This would mean 6 times a. What would this mean if I wrote this second arrow? If you said 6 times negative 5, you're correct. What is 6 times negative 5? 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. And this is where we have choices. The preferred way to write this is 6a, and remember we need to put these two together as one expression, is to use this negative sign as a minus sign. So 6a minus 30. That way we only have one operation sign, or one sign to deal with. So another way to write this is 6a plus negative 30. So both of these mean the same thing in math. If I'm subtracting 30, it moves me down the number line. And if I'm adding a negative 30, it also moves me down the number line. They're both losses of 30. So now let's go on to number 3. We'd start the process the same every time by taking the outside number, multiplying the first term inside, and we go back to the outside number and multiply the second term inside. Please state what the final result would be after we multiply both of those. The preferred way would be negative 5y minus 40. And once again, just to recall, if I have a negative times a positive, I get a negative answer. So that's why it's negative 40 or minus 40. Let's move on to number 4. And we're going to start, same process. What do you think we should multiply when I am showing the second arrow? If you stated negative 3 times negative 6, you are correct. So negative 3 times 2x would be negative 6x. What is negative 3 times negative 6? It is positive 18. And since it's positive, I'm going to use that positive sign, or that as a plus sign in between, to make this one expression. We always want to put those two terms together. Let's move on now to number 5. Sometimes we're given expressions in which the terms inside the parenthesis are in a different order. So sometimes they try to rearrange things, or they give us throw us kind of for a little loop, something unexpected, but we still use the distributive property in the same way. So we would multiply the outside number times the first term, and the outside number times the second term, again using that operation sign as an integer sign. What is the first term of this expression? If you wrote negative 8, you're correct. Remember, we're multiplying. Side by side is multiplying. What is the second term of this expression? If you said positive 12a, you are correct. And since that's a positive 12a, we could write that plus sign, that positive sign in between. So even though this looks different, we're used to seeing the variable term on this side and the constant term on this side, this is acceptable to write it this way. All right, would you please try number 6 and choose the answer that you think is best after you've finished? The final result would be negative 5 minus 10x, or once again we could write it as negative 5 plus negative 10x. Thank you for completing this and have a good day.